Test, test, 1, 2, 3. OBS is a lot of features and a lot of configurations to use. Let's talk about setting that up. What is going on, my fellow misfits? My name is Ren. Welcome to the channel where we talk about free software and free tools for making content on a variety of different operating systems, regardless of what you're using. I fucked up my first line. Great. That's how this video is going to go. We talk about using stuff like OBS and other free editing programs. I don't know why I used OBS as the example, but we're rolling with it because that's what this video is about: setting up OBS and scenes and those sort of things, and going through my setup and showing how I have it set up, how I use it for streaming and recording, and talking about that scene. If you notice there's not a little glowing thing around me, that's because I'm using a second instance of OBS that doesn't have the plugin I use for that. Let's start things off with, what is OBS? OBS is a free and open source program for streaming and recording using a variety of different effects, overlays, graphics, etc., to make your stream look pretty and do good. It's a fantastic program that I absolutely love to death, and I use it basically every single day. It is wonderful. I love this software, and it's completely multi-platform. The same version, thankfully now, is available on Windows, macOS, and Linux, regardless of what you're using. They just recently, even on Linux, swapped to Flatpak as their distribution method for the newest version, so now it doesn't even matter what distro of Linux you're using. They all work. Beforehand, you had to use like community compiled versions to get certain features, and there'd be missing features. It was especially a nightmare on Arch, apparently. You can go check out Brody Robertson's video about the new OBS Flatpak. I'll have a link down in the description if you're curious about that stuff. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the software itself, regardless of what operating system you're using. Everything I'm going to talk about today will apply whether you're on Windows, whether you're on Mac, or whether you're on Linux. Actually, I know it'll work on Windows and Linux. I can't verify Mac because I don't own a Mac and they're expensive as hell. But considering how the same versions is now on both Windows and Linux, with Linux being the least popular of those three operating systems, I'm going to assume they rolled the same features into the Mac version. And if they didn't, go complain in the comments below, and then realize that I can't do anything about that, and then go make like a bug report on the OBS GitHub. So let's jump over to the desktop and I will show you what I have set up in OBS, why I have it set up, and how you can set up some similar things to make your stream look cool or make your recording look cool, either one. So here we have my OBS setting that I usually use. I am on Pop! OS Linux. If you don't already know, I use Linux, but again, this can apply to any operating system. This is just going to be about the software itself, and it's on everything. Don't know about BSD. Might need to look into that one. This is my starting soon screen. This is what I put up at the beginning of stream. It's got a little countdown timer right here, which now on my operating system, I have to use a terminal-based countdown timer because all the graphical ones are absolute garbage. So I've got something that works, it's just not pretty, and I wish it had a graphical interface that I could just click a button and it know like certain set times. I kind of did that with a clock program that came installed, and I would just like chroma key out the background and I would make it white using color manipulation in OBS's like filters and stuff. But it's a lot of filters for one thing. This one, what it does is that if I'm not even going to show you because why does it matter? Basically, timer programs will output a countdown timer to a text file that you can then load. That's what this right here is. So this is a little text folder that if I go into properties, not filters, you can see what it is. You can see it's read from file, and then it's reading this file, which for me is home pop PC programs countdown.txt. This file, countdown.txt, is being written to every second with a countdown time, and then OBS is reading that text file every time it updates and displaying it on the screen right here. Is my mouse being captured? I don't actually know. I hope so. But this is, all things considered, a fairly basic starting soon screen. So what I've got is I have my background music, which you can see playing right here. I don't have it outputting to this capture because it's going to get really annoying to hear that over the course of me discussing this, and I'm going to have a different background music when I edit this later. What we've got my background music that I have for this scene. I've got a looping video for my animated background, and then I've got an image I made with GIMP, which if you don't know is like a free Photoshop alternative. It's not a one-to-one alternative to Photoshop, but it's going to be your best option for a free alternative that works on everything. There are some other really good alternatives though. There's Krita if you're more into painting. There is like, I don't know if it might be on only Windows, but like Paint Tool Sai is apparently really popular for painting as well. A lot of these alternatives are painting tools, weirdly enough, and a bunch of others. I like GIMP because it's similar enough to Photoshop that I know how to use it pretty damn well, just from taking like 2 Photoshop classes when I was in school. But all I did was I just made this little image with some text and then microphone icon, and that's it. The entire thing is just one image. Even the background for this box is just one image. And then I've got another image that's the box. The reason I do that is so that this little glow thing goes over the numbers. I have the numbers in between them on this layer. And then I've got alerts. You can't see the alerts because I'm not playing them, but the alerts are there. They're up in this top corner. And they'll show up if someone does some sort of like follow or subscribes or something while I'm on the starting screen. They'll see their little pop-up thing because everyone loves to see their name pop up on stream. It's fun. Why wouldn't you want it? But this is a very base. All it is, when you break it down, it's 4 things. You don't need to have that. You don't need to have the background music, though it is recommended. It's 4 things. It's 3 pictures and a timer. And this was, again, made completely with free software that you just type out your name. I do have an additional thing, if you haven't noticed already. This red glow on everything is done via an OBS plugin called Stream FX right here. This thing's fantastic, but you can't go very crazy with it or else it's going to start devouring your GPU resources, which if you're like me and you're running like a 5-year-old GPU, you need every bit of that you can get. So my GPU I'm running is an NVIDIA GTX 980 Ti, which by all means is not a bad GPU, but it is starting to show its age a little bit. I struggle to stream PC games while streaming on OBS at the same time unless I turn down graphical settings. If I'm not streaming, I can run everything at like nearly max settings and be totally fine. But when streaming, it takes a hit. So if we go into filters, you can see that I am not using the filters. I edited it in GIMP by just putting a red border and then blurring it. I remember how I make stuff. Don't worry. Yeah, no, I'm not using the filter because these are static images. That's right. I can't believe I forgot how I did my own effects. Oh, that's embarrassing. And it's recorded. It's going on YouTube. Let's move over to the game screen. So if you saw, I have a custom transition. That's really cool. What it is, it's a generic transition for Nerd or Die that I just threw in a video editor and made black and white instead of being, I think it was like blue and red or something. That's it. That's all I did. I didn't make that one. If you want, I may make a more detailed video about doing editing in video stuff at some point if you feel like it, because I do want to show off my video editor. I made a video about it that showed the basics, but maybe I'll show about making like quick little edits to stuff for your stream. If anyone's interested in that, leave a comment down below. Let me know. You can also see my microphone right here is going off because I'm speaking into it. I'm not recording with this version of OBS, but yeah. Now this is my main overlay. This is the main display you're gonna see when I'm streaming, when I'm like following or playing games on stream. Again, streaming, this is just the streaming screen. I don't know why I think there's gonna be something else I'm gonna say. I don't have a script for this video because I forgot to write one. And I needed to do this, and I already had a thumbnail and title written down, so you know what, I'm doing it. But this is it. This is what we're looking at, and this is basically how I went through and I made this overlay. So you can see there is a ton of different levels and layers. I don't know what I'm trying to say. So I've got different audio devices, we've got different game stream devices. This is my all-in-one scene. I typically don't use this one in order to minimize resources. What I typically do is that I have different ones for like, if I'm doing the 720p, I have a separate one for that. I'm doing my capture card, I've got a separate one from that. If I'm doing like a Steam game or PC game, I've got a different one for that. And that's typically what I stream from. This is my all-in-one that I use just to get everything sized correctly so that I can make those different ones and not have to change very much. But if we're going through, hello streamer loots, let's go through and talk about what all is the base of this. So this is a sound alerts. Don't need to worry about that. This is a capture for my VTuber, the VTube Studio one, which is my 2D, and I've got my 3D capture. I've got both of those. So if I want to do 3D, if I want to do 2D, I mainly do 3D now, so we'll turn this off for now. I've got my chat capture. This is a browser source that I have right here. We'll unlock that. We'll unlock the 3D will unlock newest follower, newest sub, newest dono, so that these will highlight as I mouse over them. You can see the different sources. I got my overlay, Twitch chat. That's this big old box. This whole thing is the majority of what I have. This is the main focus. You're gonna wanna have your background and your overlay image. The main things you need to worry about. So I've also got a third one, which are these black boxes behind that are their own separate image. As you can see, I've actually got 3 images rather than 2, but you have your background and then you have these. You can also have these be one image if you have a static background, a non-moving background. You can just combine them all and then just erase holes in them using GIMP or something for like your game, and then put that on top of the game. But the way I have this is there's this image. This image was made by just making these boxes and then adding the red border and blurring it to make it look like it's glowing, like it's neon, because that's my whole design, in order to add some color to an otherwise monochrome, very basic looking design. I then went through and I made black boxes behind each of these and made them their own layer, so they would be behind any text that I put on top of them. So like my chat, my newest donor, newest subscriber, newest follower. And then I also have my socials down on the same layer as the boxes, because again, the less images you can use, the better. So the more you can combine into one image, the better. I've also got this little microphone asset that was for free from, I forgot their name. I didn't make it. It wasn't Catboy Mech. It was the other one that does a lot of free stuff. Oh my God, I can't remember their name. I'm so sorry. If you know who this was made by, please leave a comment below, because I'm completely blanking on it and I can't remember. For my 3D VTuber, you can't see it, but it would typically be right here. And I just have it on top of this. It's like, it would cover the corner of this a little bit. It'd cover a little bit of chat, but it's fine. This is where I exist. Chat is, again, a browser source. All of these are just little browser source. No, they're not. This one's a browser source. These 3 are not. These 3 are text files. If I go to properties, they're reading from a text file. These are reading from the program Streamlabels, made by Streamlabs. Now, I'm not a fan of Streamlabs, especially after all the controversy that happened, but there is not an alternative for this that I can find, at least on Linux. And this is multi-platform. This is on Windows, Mac, and Linux. I don't know why this is on Linux, because their Streamlabs OBS is not on Linux. So I don't know why they put this on there, but it is there, and I'm very appreciative that I have something to read those from. However, that being said, my actual alerts are stream elements, which is kind of funny. So you just add those in by the same way that we did the timer. You add a text source, tell it to read from file, and you select the file that you want it to read from. So if I go back to properties, you then choose whatever font you want. And then by doing that, you also select the size. I set it to like over 120 every time, and then just shrink it down because it keeps it from looking too like blurry and stretched out. It makes sure it looks very nice and very sharp. You're going to want to do that with basically any text source you do. Make it a lot bigger than you need it to be, and then shrink it down. Well, not a lot bigger, but a fair bit bigger than you think. I'd say like 25% bigger than you think you need it, and then shrink it down, and that'll keep it from being blurry looking. For the alerts, you do this via a browser source. So if I go into properties, literally all it is that you just paste in a URL. I'm gonna have to blur that in editing. Fuck, I didn't think about that. For any sort of capture device, on Linux, they're all just seen as webcams. On Windows, I think they might have their own special designation within camera software, but it's still going to be a camera source at the end of the day. So you just do that, you go to properties, and then you select whatever device it is. I might have weird names right now because I don't actually have my capture card plugged in, so it doesn't know where it is. So it's trying to read video device 3 and there's nothing there, and it's just like, what do I do? But typically it shows up as USB capture device, and I just select that, and you would resize it right here with the resizing tool. So you take that, you select it, again, it's not there, so it doesn't matter. We could have like a window capture if we want. So say we want to do a window capture of the desktop, sure. That's weird. Of Plasma, no, don't want that. Of Mozilla Firefox, sure. So you'd unlock that, and you use these to resize. And that's how you do it. Great. And you just size it to where you need, and you put it below anywhere that you want it to be covered by. So if you want it to be underneath your image, you make sure it's smaller than the edges, or that the edges are covered by your overlay, and that makes sure that it looks clean and that nothing bleeds over. I can't really zoom in per se while recording this, I may zoom in and post to show you right here where you see that the lines it doesn't come outside this border, even though, as you saw earlier, it absolutely can. So that's why you want to make sure you size everything properly. And it just disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. Basically, so you have the line of the border when you're resizing, touch the edge, it's good enough. So yeah, that just fucking disappeared. I don't know what happened to that. It doesn't matter. I'm not needing to actually record it. And then your background, you literally just have right there. I have this positioned in GIMP beforehand, so I just have to drag and drop the image onto there in order for it to work. Now the audio stuff, I have a video that's a background loop, doesn't need any audio, so I had to right click, and I'm pretty sure there was like hide audio somewhere in this mixer so that there wasn't just an audio that did nothing. And I just have a loop, the same looping video as the start. Oh, there it is. If you notice, it's the exact same video. Let me go back. You can see where it is right here, and it lines up exactly because it's the exact same video source. There is nothing different about it. It's all exactly the same. There are no changes. I changed absolutely nothing. Oh, wow. Hello. You are sized completely wrong. Oh, because you're capturing the desktop. That's why. We're gonna hide you real quick. Actually, we're gonna just hide all three of those because we don't need them right now. Now I have a second audio system because Linux has multiple audio systems. There's a new one called Pipewire that I tried out for a bit. I didn't like it, so I went and got rid of it. But I may come back to it at some point, at which point I have my audio already set up for that. You can just ignore this completely. This is specific to my use case. Most of you on Windows, you don't have to worry about any of that. You just pick the audio source. You're done. You have it easy. Now, you have your capture audio devices and you have output audio devices. Now, I have a setup to where I have piped any audio from Discord to be its own source so that if I'm in a call with someone, I can edit their volume independently during the capture while also having it maybe louder so I can hear it, but a little quieter in the recording, or maybe it's too loud for me for it to be just loud enough in the recording, so I need to turn it down in my headphones separately from everything else. Those sort of things. It's a very nice little feature to have, be able to mix audio sources independently. If you've never tried to set that up, see if you can set up something like, I don't know, Voicemeeter Banana, I think is on Windows and Mac. If you're on Linux, use Jack in order to set up different audio inputs and outputs and have Discord be its own separate one so you can control it independently. It's fantastic. I may do a video about those at a later point. But yeah, you just have input capture, output captures. Output capture is going to capture something that's outputting audio to you, like your headphones or something. Input capture is going to be any sort of like microphone or recording device. You typically just want your microphone, which is what I have this source being, and your desktop. That's it. Now, I have a different audio capture for my capture card, so I can again control volume independently. I can't get it to where I can control individual game audios if they're running on my computer. There is a way to do that with that Pipewire system, but I couldn't get it to work right, so I gave up on it and went back to the one I knew. But for most people, that's actually how you capture it. It's that you capture just your entire desktop audio. This will also capture stuff like sound effects from OBS and any sort of alerts that you have as browser sources. That'll all be captured in the same audio source, which is convenient because you only need to capture one thing, but it means you can't adjust volume levels independently, so keep that in mind. Next scene is a be right back screen. This is outputting because I forgot to turn it off. I'm gonna turn that off real quick. Advanced audio properties and monitor off. There we are. So again, I have different effects, different things. So I've added glows, I've added a timer again. A lot of this stuff, this looks like completely new, completely redesigned. Nah. I copied the chat box from this and I just cropped it. Actually, I might have made a separate chat box for this. And then I copied the output timer from right here to go to my be right back screen and just move them over to the corner, set the exact same timer source and just copy and pasted it and resized it. Yeah, let's see. If I go to the BRB PNG, yeah, no, that's all one image. So I just threw them all in GIMP, copy and pasted them as I needed, and then we're done. I just added glows to stuff in GIMP by adding a red border and just blurring it on a separate layer. And the chat source, it's the same chat source from the game screen. The be right back chat box, this is another one of that same idea of just, I made the background black and just made it a new layer and exported that layer itself. Now the spectralizer is a plugin. This is to spectralize my, to give the little bars and stuff for my audio that I'm playing right now, the music. This just gives something visually interesting. I can say words. I've got notifications that'll pop up in the middle of the, what is timer? What is timer? I don't know what that is. Guess I don't need it. I'll worry about it later then. I have notifications that show up. Do I? No, I don't actually. I don't have notifications on this screen. If I did have notifications, I'd probably put them in the center. I think that's why I got rid of them, because they looked weird in the center. But again, a lot of this is just copy pasted from other scenes. Just arrange stuff to make it visually interesting. Is this the best design I could have done? Probably not. There's probably a better way to do this. I probably could have moved Be Right Back a little higher to put more of a space between this because it might look nicer to people. I don't know. I did this willy-nilly and just kind of threw stuff around until I thought it looked cool. That's all it is. Experiment. Just experiment with this. Next, I have a chat screen. So this is literally the exact same chat screen as the BRB that I just cropped out the timer section. That's it. I have notifications that pop up in this top section. You don't really see my VTuber avatar right over on this side, right here. You can't see my mouse very well in this background, and I apologize for that, but I'm not changing it because I love this mouse cursor. It looks great everywhere else. Again, a lot of these are the same things. It's the same chat source. It's the same stream elements, alerts. Notification right here is on my game screen. It's the same background music as my BRB screen. It's the same VTuber source, just made a little bigger. The chat screen glow. That's it. If I go back to the BRB screen, the chat box, and the BRB image, it's all the same stuff. I just removed some stuff and re-exported it as a new image. You can reuse so much stuff. The background loop, it's the same background loop. All of these are the same background loop. You think it's fancy. It's not. It's all the same thing repeated. I have so much stuff where I just reuse things over and over and over again because it's easy. Reuse stuff. It brings in consistency, and it's a lot easier than making new overlays every scene. These sort of things are just so easy to set up that all you need to do is just take a day to just mess around with stuff. Get OBS and get GIMP. Start throwing up boxes where you think stuff looks cool. If it looks cool, great. If it doesn't look cool, move it. It's not that complicated. People think you need to do a lot of really crazy complicated stuff, and I have done a lot of crazy complicated stuff for my audio stuff. You don't have to do that. You just need your mic source, your capture source. That's it. That's all you need. Maybe a background music file, which you just, again, drag and drop that onto there and you're done. That's it. See, it's on the top because I literally just drag and dropped it on there and then left it. A lot of the stuff is not super complicated. It just looks that way. This looks super complicated until you break it down and you realize that it's all just one image. It's just one image. If you're not confident in making an overlay, you can go commission one and then you just drag and drop it. So like for a game capture, all you do is you make a window capture, or there's actually game capture on Windows, but you just set your capture, you move it into position, you take it and you can drag it around, you can resize it. It's not, you just take it, you line up a corner. You can use the arrow keys to line it up precisely, and then you just drag the corner until it's sized. The main thing you need to keep in mind is layers. You want to make sure that your overlay is above your captures, because otherwise you get stuff like this. So let's say I take Steam and I move it above. Well, now it's on top of my overlay and it doesn't work. So you want to make sure that you have, for example, your capture be below the level and below anything you want on top. So like my alerts, I want them on top of the capture. I'm going to move it back to where it was, which was right here. This order doesn't actually matter. It just got to make sure it's below these guys, the alerts and the capture, the overlay. So like things like this, the scrolling text, you can do that via filters. So you add a scroll filter to a text source, and if it's longer than the size you set, it starts scrolling. Now you will need to experiment with the width in order to make it line up with your box, but you just keep clicking up until it lines up with the box. And again, you just have these be below your overlay. That's it. That's all you do. You just make sure it's below it. And now see, it looks like it's coming from the globe. because we just put it beneath it and cut it off where you aren't supposed to see it. It's surprisingly simple to set this up. It looks very complicated and it might be a little intimidating if you're new to it. And I'm sorry, this video is a little all over the place. I have ADHD and I didn't write a script, so I'm trying to show you as best as I can. This video also won't be edited for probably 4 days, and it'll be edited like the day before it gets uploaded. Oops. Have fun, future me, in editing. And then something like my end screen, which is just 2 images, my logo and a picture of thank you for watching that I put, again, that same red border on a layer below it in GIMP and blurred it and then exported the whole image as PNGs. It's so many PNGs. It's so many PNGs. I used to have that thank you for watching as an actual text source, but I've also got testing for a Discord bot that was for when I was setting up my stream alerts. I needed to do that. I probably don't need that text source anymore, but oh well. And again, you just have the same background loop. I can't get over, I reuse this background loop for every single one of these. And that's your basics. These 4, you really could have this be your end screen. You don't need the like, see you soon, we'll be back, or yada, yada, yada. You might not need any of that. This suddenly looks really dark and I don't entirely know why. You can just call things and not have this thank you for watching screen. I just have it because it keeps me from accidentally leaving on a scene where my microphone is. Now, some of you may have noticed that I'm using different microphone sources in different scenes. If I go into my settings, but notice that for audio, you can set global devices so that your desktop audio is always the same thing and it's in every single scene. That's cool and convenient, but I knocked over my microphone in the real world, but don't do this for one reason. You can forget to mute your microphone. If you set it up on a per scene basis, so like my starting student screen, my end of stream screen, my BRB screen, none of them have a microphone source, so I can't accidentally leave it unmuted. And on my game screen, I can't accidentally leave it muted because I don't ever mute it to begin with. If I'm on a scene where I'm supposed to be talking, the microphone's there. If I'm on a scene where you're not supposed to hear me talking, there's no microphone to pick me up. It takes a second to move the audio mixer. Also, I moved my audio mix. You can move these panels around if you didn't know. These are completely modular. You can move them whatever. By default, it's like, what, here, I think? Yeah, like right here, which is fine if you only have like 1 or 2 sources. But if you saw on like my game screen, I've got like 5. So I've moved it over to here because it gives you a lot more vertical room. This is just, if you have a lot of audio sources, try moving it to this upper part next to the preview to give yourself more room to go through them all. This is nice. You don't have to. It's just a suggestion. If you want, you can pop it off and have it like right here and stretch all the way down for every audio source if you want. Again, it's entirely up to you. It's whatever you want. I'm not controlling you. It doesn't matter to me. Do whatever you want. I'm just showing you how I do stuff in a very piss poor way because, again, I didn't write a script. Oops. Sue me. Please don't actually sue me. I hope I didn't do anything that you could sue me for. If I did, I apologize. But that's a basic rundown of how I've set up OBS, what I do to it to make it easier to use for me. Hopefully you gleaned something from this nightmare. Oh yeah, another thing, I'm wrapping it up before addressing the fact that I've got 4 other game scenes down here. Oops. So I have these set to hotkeys. So if I press like Control 1, I jump to this scene, which would be a zoom in. If I press Control 2, I jump to this scene. If I press Control 3, I jump to this scene. So it's just zooming in on my face. You can't see it because I'm being recorded in the corner. And then I've got a fade back to normal, which I do by holding Control and then the symbol, it's a little squiggly line next to the 1 on the keyboard that I can never remember the name of. Tilde? Is it a tilde? I think it's a tilde. Tilde. Control tilde will bring me back. You set hotkeys over in settings, by the way. Hotkeys. So I go through. Control equals takes me to my BRB screen. So I have a hotkey for that. Control minus takes me back to the main game screen with its transition. And I've got Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, and Control tilde. I hope I'm saying the right word for that. And those are hotkeys, just to hop between scenes. So I don't know if I have any hotkeys set in my recording, so I hope this doesn't screw up. If I Control enter. And there we are. Now we're over on my BRB screen. So the way I do my zoom in is that I have file, settings. So say I'm on like my game screen, if I want to show you how to do this properly. So we're on my game screen. If I want to do this crazy zoom effect, all I do with the hotkeys I have set up is just do Control 1, Control 2, Control 3, Control tilde to go back to normal, and that's it. And all these are is just a clone of the existing game screen that I zoomed in. I used these, you can use scenes as sources in other scenes, that all you do is you just right click, add, and then choose scene, and then you pick whatever scene you want. And then for these guys, all I did was like, if you see it, I just zoomed it in. That's it. That's all I did. I just made it bigger. I just made it a lot bigger and positioned it with my face so that it would line up fairly well. And then you can just, like, from there, I do this because I don't want to have the stinger transition to get to it. And so, like, say, like, later I go for a break and I go to my BRB screen. If I come back from my BRB screen, I go back to the normal game screen, which does have the stinger transition. So it makes it look nice, makes everything look really cool and intentional. But in all honesty, it's a very duct taped together solution. I'm sure there are better ways to do it. This is the way that I found how to do it. But hey, did this video help you? Did you like it? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. It kind of just turned into a tour of how I have OBS set up. Hopefully it helped you with something, or maybe you just hated the whole thing. Leave a like, leave a dislike, leave a comment down below, and make sure you smash the like button. Even though I just said to hit it, smash it instead. Smashing better. Also smash the subscribe button and the bell. You can smash the bell too, and it'll notify you of things. It's really cool. You should definitely do it. If you want to see this stuff happen live and how I use this overlay, you can check me out over on Twitch, twitch.tv/itsrogueren. Make sure you spell it right. It's R-O-G-U-E. I'll have a link down in the description. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and maybe it did help you. Maybe it gave you some ideas for how to do your overlay. It was a little all over the place because no script plus ADHD is not a great combination. I probably should have written a script, but I forgot. Oops, oh well. But I hope you had a good time. Again, want to show off more things that you can do for free. I wanted to initially be like show how to be a VTuber on Linux, and I definitely will still keep doing that. But I'm gonna also do mainly more multi-platform stuff. So stuff that like, yeah, this works on Linux. However, it also works if you're on Windows or if you're on Mac, so that you can keep doing stuff for free. That's all I got for today though. Thank you guys so much for watching again. And I will see you all next week. Again, check me out over on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter, and you can talk to me in my Discord. There'll all be links down below. And I will see you all next time. Peace out.